Welcome to Here's the Thing. My name is Vince Nigro, and with us greatly today is the Minister, Carolyn Bennett. Carolyn, thank you for being on the show today.
It's great to be here.
As I was telling you a little bit off air, and we'll go into all the titles and all that stuff there, and you've been involved in politics or representing St. Paul's, which happens to be my home riding, for 22 years. And prior to that, the whole St. Paul's riding used to be known as a swing riding. I remember John Roberts, Ron Adke. I remember the whole crew. So it tells you how old I am. So but since you got in there, you've continued to turn it red all the time. Tell us a little bit about how you got involved in politics, like prior to running for as the MP. We know you're a doctor, but was it something that came to you when they said, I'm going to run for office? Did you get involved in an issue? How'd you end up getting up and deciding to run for politics?
Well, thank you. I always considered myself an accidental tourist in politics, and that I became very involved in the fight to keep Women's College Hospital independent. At that time, we were also, at various times, we were sort of helping with Doctors Hospital and some of the others that really were about to be sort of cannibalized. We thought it was really important that Women's Hospital stay on its own, and so we fought and we did that, and then the Liberal Party called me and said, would you consider running? And I said, I don't know anything about politics. And they said, what do you think you just did? And I didn't really understand that was politics, but now I understand that's really what politics is, fighting for something you believe in. And so that was my decision. That was provincial and I lost, but I had thought that it was about health care, and was, that it really was, my mom's friends would say, we're going to lose a good doctor. And I'd say, I think I have to go and do this so it's possible to be a good doctor. That if it seemed the system was falling down around us, that we needed the voices of patients and providers and caregivers at the table where the decisions got taken. So after I lost in 95, Barry Campbell,
another name of the past,
the member of parliament, he called me and said he wasn't going to run again, and he would like me to consider running federally. And it was a little bit of difficulty for me because I thought it was health care that I knew the most about. But it became very clear at the federal level, and later as Minister of State for Public Health in Paul Martin's government, that it really was the keeping people well part, the prevention part, poverty, violence, the environment, shelter, equity, education, all of those things were really what Tommy Douglas's original goal of Medicare was. You have to keep people well, not just patch them up when they get sick. And so I threw my hat into the ring, and then it was in 97, and
you've been there ever since?
I've been there ever since. We knew it was a bellwether riding, and I think I took very seriously this democracy between elections. We've been very intentional about the town hall meetings, neighborhood checkups, the summit with all elected representatives for the riding twice a year. And so it's humbling always, reapplying for your job, but our riding turns over almost 50% between each election. So you have to really be present and
your dynamics
listening.
is very diverse from the east end to the west end of the riding. Huge diversity.
So a lot of the population is young and eligible, as they,
of course,
with the great turnover there. But then, of course, in the west end of the riding, we have the strong Portuguese community, strong Italian community, and the Hellenic home in terms of the Greek community. And so it's been quite an honor to get to know that, but also the Native Men's homeless shelter, and the transitional housing. And so, I think over the years you learn about community and about how important community is to building a country, right?
Yeah.
The strong community and is it is strong neighborhoods that build a country.
Build a country. When you obviously in the role that you were as a doctor and you got involved in the issues and you got recruited, when you ultimately got to Ottawa, what was it like? Was it something where you were a fish out of water? Because, you know, I've worked as well, different levels, and the federal government is the big leagues. It really is the big leagues. When you get up to Ottawa, it's a whole different world up there. How did you, in the first time you got up there, how did you manage? Was it something that you enjoyed right away? Is it something you kind of worked through it? What was your? Give us a little bit of what you were like, what you felt like when you got up there.
My first 3 years were very difficult. I had been a member of the founding board of the Hepatitis C Society.
Right.
I'd fought all my life against tobacco. There were childcare. I mean, I found it very difficult and was probably viewed as a bit of a rebel at the beginning. And then my first year in Ottawa, my mom got very sick, and she was in women's college for 7 months, two months in the intensive care unit. And so I found somehow that there, as a new person, there wasn't the collegiality that I had, I think, expected or had lived at women's college in a very, you know, sort of more inclusive environment, and I found it very competitive and very people stealing your ideas and putting them in as their own. And I had a little bit, you know, of difficulty, but then you knew that the opportunities, as you say, were so huge, and that in other things. And then I became chair of Women's Caucus, and I realized that we could do way more as a caucus of the 40 or so women that came together, and I really, I think, understood that this is a team sport. You can't do very much on your own, and that by coming together and using the same approaches that I used as a physician, ask what's wrong, listen, together make a plan, that I was able to take that out, to find out from women, and women as the health guardians of their families, what were the issues that they really were worrying about, and how could we help with that? Disability tax credit. There were a number on things like mental illness. So there were a number of things. So I then ended up chairing the subcommittee on persons with disabilities. I learned a lot about those things, but I think it takes a little while as a doctor. Even though you work on a team, it's still sort of, you are still working in an individual way. Right. And so I think once I understood that my friends like Bill Graham and Andy Scott, and there were just so many wonderful things, and then getting to know whether it's '𝗵𝗵'𝗀 or here in the riding, Ursula Franklin, I just had so many amazing coaches through it, that really made a difference in how now I have to reapply for this job that I absolutely adore.
You adore it, because the front of your pamphlet says that you're reapplying for the job you love, and I thought that was a great opener to the pamphlet.